I view fitness training as a vessel for enjoyment and experiences, and anything that I enjoy objectively, swimming, biking, running, trails, road, track, squat, bench, deadlift, bro bodybuilding sessions and strongman stuff, I'll always try and keep in at the very least a little bit of all of that, even if it's one set a week, just to keep the skill acquisition there.
That's
because
great.
it can degrade. But it needs to be enough to keep things ticking over without adding to the volume and intensity and cumulative load of the week.
Yeah, I love that. I love that it's all just rooted in personal enjoyment and like fulfillment. I would love to know, okay, obviously you just listed a ton of things that you try and maintain in your schedule. Like how do you like tactically manage all that stuff? Like right now, prepping for a sub-3 marathon, what's like a typical week of training look like so that, you know, after you finish the marathon, you can hop back into any of these things?
So I'm playing around with a few things personally at the moment just to actually manage weekly volume more than anything else, because I do want to get my weekly mileage a bit higher than I'd originally planned. So there's a few things that I'm trying different to previous structures, but the core principles that underpin all of my prep for everything and all the athletes we work with is intensity peaks at the start of the week and volume peaks at the end of the week. And that inverts as the week goes on. So heaviest lifting, hardest effort, running, biking, swimming, all earlier in the week. Moderate tempo, zone 3, zone 4, sets of 8 to 10 sort of stuff, middle of the week. Any strength endurance, assistance work, sets of 12 plus, or zone 2 stuff, end of the week. And that we have found to be the most effective way to balance the relationship between intensity and volume within the context of the week. Secondly, we'll consolidate stresses, which actually means hardest effort, lower body stuff will be on the same day as the hardest effort, lower body stuff at both ends of the spectrum. So heavy squats on the same day as hard effort turbo trainer work or hard work at the track. And whilst that might seem counterintuitive, it effectively means that by consolidating those sort of biomechanical stresses in terms of, let's keep it simple as lower body hard work, you are only recovering from that spike of intensity once within the context of the week.
Right.
Because if you're trying to pile in a lot of work, it's very, very difficult to be able to do that without extrapolating it out over to a 2-week period. Because like daily undulating periodization, for example, easy day, hard day, something like that, you'd end up doing you'd end up doing hard run, easy lift, hard lift. So there'd always be hard on one day. So you'd be contravening the logic of how that was put together. So another core principle there. And the key focus for me is mostly RPE based in most of my lifting. I really enjoyed training sort of raw conjugate style when I was at peak powerlifting. So I still utilize a lot of those elements where I'll do a lot of heavy triples, doubles and singles on variation movements as well. And that's what I've been found most effective for me. So that's the sort of the core foundational principles in real simple terms. So at the moment, Monday morning is an easy run. I'm starting the week with easy, which is kind of completely immediately going against the first things I've said, but I'm doing that because that's just kind of front loading a little bit of volume for the week because I'm trying to hit 65-mile weeks plus at the moment. Monday night will be push, hard effort. So that'll be heavy bench press, heavy assistance work, that sort of stuff. Tuesday will be hard effort track work. That'll be the hardest session of the week as we've done this morning, followed by hardest effort lower body stuff. And that'll be that. Wednesday will be a pull session in the morning and a swim and then an easy run as well. Thursday at the moment will be zone 3, zone 4 work. So about 10 miles, zone 3, zone 4 work as well. And that's where the easy bike will come in too. So that'll just be sort of the top and tail of the day there. Friday will be full body focused. So some split squats, something like that. And then just pump work really. So just push, pull, just bodybuilding style stuff. And volume swim. So real easy focused zone 2 swim there. Saturday will be my hardest running session of the week, which will be slightly longer warm up and then block or reps at marathon or above pace. Sunday will be easy bolt on mileage. So if I'm hitting 18, 20 miles on Saturday and I've got another 7, 8 miles to make up to hit the mileage total for the week, that's how I'll just structure that. So the Sunday's there. So another reason I'm starting the week with the easy run on the morning of the Monday, which goes against the intensity volume curve, is just because I don't want to get straight into intensity on my legs after 2 back-to-back running days over the weekend, which is a little bit different to how I've structured things in the past, but I'm just experimenting a little bit at a personal level to try and get this sub-3 boxed off.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a very achievable schedule, I think. And I mean, how many hours a week is that? Maybe like 15 hours a week?
About 15, 16 at the moment.
Yeah.
And the swim, there's 2 swims scheduled. to be honest, for the past 3-4 weeks, I've only been hitting 1 just because work commitments, travel, and lots of things have come up, which means that can go. But I've learned over the years that if life genuinely gets in the way, as long as I've ticked the box that week, it's fine. You don't need to beat yourself up. As long as there's a logical reason rather than I can't be bothered today, I'm going to sleep in. That's not a logical reason. That's you choosing not to do it. But if it's okay, my flight's delayed, okay, this meeting's overran, and it's actually quite important that I box this off before the end of the day, then that those swim and the bike work is just in there for that skill maintenance portion that I've mentioned. So it's not the end of the world if I miss those, because as long as I'm doing them consistently and not, I've missed it this week, let's just avoid it for the next 6. The degradation won't occur, because it's just the skill of moving through the water, turning your legs over on the bike so that blood isn't occluding, all that sort of stuff. And it is fairly achievable. I think the downside is that psychologically there's no room for additional intensity other than the running, which means that I am missing the variety that comes from the triathlon work a little bit. And that is the thing that I am enjoying most about marathon training, but also enjoying the least about marathon training, which is you wake up with a proper churn in your stomach thinking, oh, am I going to be able to hit that pace later today? Thinking about it all day, six minute miles for 3x4 miles, whatever it might be. I don't know if I can do that. It's going to be tough. And there's an excitement that builds, but it also means that you can't do it in mountains. I can't get out to do open water swimming. I can't get out for the long bike rides because I've got to hit those sessions. So when you get through those hard effort key sessions, you feel amazing, but the sort of day-to-day mileage chipping away base work, that's not as exciting. So that's not as exciting. So the compounding effect is that right now I'm missing the variety of interacting with the environment of Scotland where I live to its full potential, but also I'm learning a lot about the marathon prep and just the fact that it's just discipline, showing up, doing the time, and sucking it up when the hard sessions come along.
Yeah. Marathon training is very formulaic.
Yeah,
and it's just there's no variety. You just run every day. You have your speed work, maybe a tempo session, and your long run. And then that's basically it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. It just keeps showing up. Yeah.
It gets very mundane for sure. Especially how many weeks have you been training now for this specifically?
I can't remember when I properly started. I think it was about, February. I think it was early February I started. So it's been...
So good 6 weeks maybe at least?
So I think that the whole prep will be 4 months. Yeah. Okay, it'll be a 60, maybe I think 17-week prep it will be. And... Okay. Yeah, there's been the focus at the start was just a little bit of it was one speed work, one tempo, and just pure zone 2 volume. And then once I hit 12 weeks out, I started working in longer tempo blocks onto my longer runs on the Saturday as well, rather than just making them pure zone 2. So it has been very formulaic, which is great. But also the simplicity of it means that when I'm mapping out my training on a Sunday for the following week, it's okay. All I really feel I need to do is just kind of show up.
Yeah.
And I think the strength focus for me at the moment is all directed to the Husafell stone over in Iceland, which is a 184 kilo, shield shaped stone that you pick up off the floor and you try and carry it around the sheep pen, which is a 32 meter circle that used to store sheep. And the story with the stone goes that people kept stealing the farmer's sheep. So the farmhand once picked up this massive stone to put it to stop the sheep getting taken. And there's now a whole load of history and heritage, and there's videos of the mountain Hapthor picking it up like a bloody bowling ball and running with it. But that's what I am really excited about trying to get nailed, and a lot of Zercher squatting, a lot of hamstring work, a lot of upper back work, and then I'm just kind of focusing on bench press at the moment, trying to hold on to that because I'm getting leaner. So I'm putting more emphasis on trying to hold on to as much bench press strength as possible at the moment, because it's always the first to go. So I'm kind of testing a little bit more upper body volume than lower body volume to see how much I can mitigate a bench press strength loss as I get lighter for the first time, because lower body work isn't as important to me for my current training goals. So there is a little bit of a willing sacrifice on top end squat strength and deadlift strength in place of Husafell strength, Husafell specific strength and bench press and upper back work. So it's first time in a while I've said, you know what, if my squat gets a bit weaker, don't care. If my deadlift gets a bit weaker, don't really care, because I'm not going to hit... I'm in a good place strength-wise at the moment. I think with some specific work, I probably could hit some decent or close to all-time, whilst I've been a hybrid athlete, PBs. But the thought of doing a few other things is more exciting to me. So
yeah. This is dude, you do a lot of stuff. It's crazy, like the variety in your training. I mean, how do you? Well, actually, I'm first curious, like, how does this marathon block make you feel, just like physically? Like, do you feel tired or drained all the time? Because I mean, me personally, I feel like my hormones just get like shot during marathon training from just the sheer volume of endurance. Follow-up question to that would be like, what type of training do you find makes you feel the best?
Interesting. So first question, first 4 weeks of prep, I was destroyed. And I went from getting 7 hours of sleep, sometimes 6, to consciously, I'm trying to be asleep by 9 for the most part. Boring, old. But the difference that made was huge. And I've been much more formulaic with my nutrition rather than a bit more sporadic. We moved house in October, then went down to my parents for a while in December. Then January, I was in London for pretty much the whole month. February, we were in Scandinavia for like 3 weeks. So we never really settled into the house. It was all quite scatty. So March onwards, everything's been really formulaic. Sleep's been dialed. Nutrition's been dialed. Everything's been a lot less haphazard. I mean, even time zone crossing, travel. There was too much going on for me to feel great. And the training was beating me up. Bit more sleep's made a huge difference. And I fit even one night of poor sleep, I feel pretty flat the next day. But I'm really holding myself accountable to, if you don't stack negative days is the key. So if you know that you didn't get enough sleep the night before, get through the training. Don't compromise on the training unless your body says, nah, avoid the speed work today. I'll try and, I mean, I've been asleep by 8 p.m. a few nights I've been here because the humidity is hurting me as well. But yeah, I've had to be more conscious of my sleep with this prep, more so than ever. Reduction in lower body volume means I'm tolerating the volume in my legs from the running a bit more than I normally would. But I feel good. It's funny, when I'm walking around and whenever I think about pacing, it feels harder than it is when I start running. Like my easy pace for years was 5:30 per K, which is about 8:30 per mile. That was just, I could do that all day. Whereas now it's about 4:45, which is like 7:30.
Yeah.
And again, I see 4:45. I'm like, oh, that's kind of quick for an easy pace. But then when I start moving, I'm like, oh, this genuinely feels amazing. My easy run yesterday around Ladybird was like, I was laughing to myself, like an evil, maniacal laugh. Like, this feels fucking brilliant. Seeing dogs everywhere, like high-fiving strangers. Very American of me. And it was, yeah, that's what's been really, really cool. And I've been in the pool, I've been on the bike, and I felt average. But to know that I can still show up and swim at 147 per 100, 145 per 100, FTP's low at the moment, but I can turn my legs over on the bike without all of that blood pooling like when you first get on the bike for the first time in a while, which is a nice feeling. And strength-wise, I feel really, really competent because everything's hyper-focused. There's no fluff. So there's been a few weeks where I've been on the precipice. I'm trying after this trip to avoid any more travel because I've had a stupid amount most of the year so far. But even things like, look, I've been part of the way I exist is the wedding we were away for in Sweden. I made sure to book the hotel that had the gym on site. All the little things that I could control to make sure that I could tick things off. I'm much more conscious of those little variables than I was previously because they hurt me more with this volume spike than they did. And again, I'm going back to triathlon, so travel's just off the cards. Yeah, like I'm not going to bring my tri bike with me. So that's that. And then second question was, what training has me feeling the best?
Yeah.
Triathlon flattens me and makes me feel pretty worn out all the time.
Yeah.
But there are moments where you have good sessions and you feel like $1 million. But the general is that you feel pretty destroyed. I think the best I've ever felt, and I could feel it walking around day to day, was 600 kilo total and sub 6 hours 60K in the same day. So that was December 2021. I was about the same weight and build as I am now, about 94 kilos, about 205 pounds. I don't know what it was. I just, lifting wise, I felt just, even tendons felt more robust. Everything felt good. I think I just really got the balance of how much focus I needed to put on each lift right. And the running, the way I was structuring that was interesting actually, because I was still working in track stuff. I still had a tempo run, but I was basically doing 50% of my volume each week on the Saturday in one run.
Interesting.
So my long runs were long. And
it was a 60K run you were running?
Yeah, so okay. I think if finishing week, I think I went 30, I literally just I looked at it formulaically and thought, I'm just gonna give this a go and see how this lands. I think I went, week 1 was 25k, week 2 35k, week 3 40k. Following week, deloaded to 25, then 45, then 50, then deload, then 60. And that was all the Saturdays. It would just go out. I think I did it on the same route every time as well. It was horrible. And I wasn't doing lots of fluff zone 2 work during the week, which, to be honest, where I was living at the time, one of the reasons that we moved was I just got so bored of routes out the front door. So actually the energy that it took from me to get out and do those, it was Monday was track, Wednesday was tempo, and there was one easy run on the Thursday. So pretty much all my volume was done on that Saturday. So the volume to do that sub 660k was lower than you'd expect, but the length of the long runs each week was higher than you'd expect, and that worked really well for me at the time. But I just remember, I felt amazing day to day. So it was like the working days were devoted to strength development, and the weekend was devoted to aerobic development, and that worked really well for me at the time. Obviously, as you want to try and get quicker, or you work in swimming and biking as well, that just doesn't work because there's not enough days in the week. But I really enjoyed that focus and felt great at the end of it. And I think, did I deadlift 250 that month as well? No, I failed 260 twice in January and February the following year, and then didn't manage until the following Christmas. So basically, when my strength built up where I was like, I can finally deadlift 6 plates, failed it on my knees, dropped down to 250, couldn't get it off the floor. Had I done 250 first, I would have got it. And then went back to triathlon training and sacrificed a little bit of strength, and then only actually managed to deadlift 250 for the first time whilst hybrid training. 12 months after I'd failed it the previous time. So that's kind of like the ebb and flow of the year, which is why I was saying this morning, even if I don't get sub 3 this time, I'm at a point where if that's what happens, I'm not going to abandon my plans for what's next and go for it again. It's kind of I go with the flow of things, and what will be, will be. But I think it's, I've been very close to a few things in the past where I've had to think, that was the one chance to do it. Anyway, we'll pick that up in a few years.
Dude, I love that.